When population increases, it means an enlarged demand for food, water, housing, energy, healthcare, transportation, and more. Even the pollution is going to be affected. I have Joyce Iyakwari on the show today. Sele Elisha is on the show with me today, and we're talking about pollution and population on today's life. How are you today?
Very fine, thank you.
Yeah, yesterday we looked at malnourishment, and we looked at how malnourishment is affects every aspect of life, not just food and all that. But today we are looking at pollution. There are things that are all put together to affect the air. It affects
even the land.
Yeah, a lot of
water.
things that are detrimental to the health of human beings. So today we are looking at maybe a few things that would cause pollution, or a few things that would affect the things that are supposed to be enjoyed by life naturally without being tampered with. And at the same time, we are looking at population of people. What is pollution?
Just like you said, pollution are mostly like things that causes death. That's the place can be polluted by death. The place can be polluted by it can be in the sea, land, air, wherever it is that you can, and there are causes to that, and there are sometimes that you find. For example, maybe if I can go ahead to give instances, there are times that you find refineries in a certain way and location where where maybe they refine their whatsoever it is, their goods, they produce some goods, and it can pollute the excess, whatsoever it is that comes out from their waste. It can pollute a certain environment that they are located in. Then is it talking about maybe even us as humans? Sometimes we tend to pollute our environment community by throwing out trash in places that are not supposed to be. You just see maybe a community dumping trash in a certain way, or dumping trash close to their houses, and sometimes you don't even know the effect of those things. So this is, I think, in the simplest form what pollution can be and how it can be done.
Population.
Oh, well, population is an increase. That's what I feel. It's an increase. So whether it's basically we're looking at humans, right? So increase in humans, and then when there's an increase, and then the space is not, let's say, it's not the space that is given to them, like cannot accommodate everybody. Definitely, it will not lead to the pollution they are looking at, because there will be no enough space for you to refuge waste. There will not be enough waste space for even the companies and industries that we're talking about. So when the space is not well defined, and when it's not available sufficient enough, then we see that there's pollution. So population.
And when there's population, when there is increase, like I said in the introduction, when there is increase in population, a lot of demands. Yeah. Think about it. Let's break it down to the most generally accepted facts in families. You can get married into a one-room apartment, and then suddenly, or you as a man, you can be in a one-room apartment, and then suddenly you decided you are getting married. Maybe because of your financial status, you can decide to be in a one-bedroom apartment. Now you are getting a wife. Let's still say that, excuse me, you are not able to afford a bigger apartment, and you manage in that one room. But it will not be the same as even when you manage food. Even when you manage room, you cannot manage food. What you used to buy has to be ×2, because there are two of you now. And then when she takes in, you have to start planning for a second room. because definitely people will start coming, and then you need someone to stay with you and all that. And if you're a working class person, you will need someone to be with your wife while you are away and all that. So when we're talking about population, the demands of a lot of things will increase with population, you know. So you cannot have 5 children. Of course, there are people with 5 children in one room, but ideally, it's populated, and then the pollution there from the breathing, children will fart in the room. They don't care that they have to go outside and do it. They don't care. They would do that. So you need to have more space. There's increase. You need to double the food, the ratio of the food. You need to double. Fees will come.
Even placement of your own clothes, you know,
everything has to be affected. So how can one plan for population as it affects you as a person?
Well, I feel just like you gave the instance, the example. If as a man you want to marry, that means
even as a woman you should have plans.
As a woman, like personally, to me, if you're about to marry, like,
do you have a room to yourself?
I have a room to myself.
When you were given that room, or when you rented that room, you definitely know that the things that were there are not the same thing as what you have now.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that, for instance?
I had to, like, pack those things that were there before out of the room to make space for my own things, to be able to, like, for the room to accommodate my things. And so if someone is even coming over to stay with me, I need to also make space for the person to be able to have he or her things, to be able to stay there in the room.
You accommodate men too?
Maybe relatives.
Okay.
So definitely, if you're going to talking about creation of space and maintenance, you have to have at the back of your mind that when someone is coming, create space. So even if as a lady or as a man, if you're going to marry, you can't just bring in things when you have not prepared for what is coming. We made instance of if you're getting married, kids will come and all that. Not even talk about when it comes to health. There are diseases that are contagious, as simple as cough and catarrh. When they sneeze, the next person gets will be affected. So you need to plan ahead. You can't just do things and then you've not made proper arrangement and then you just want to multiply. I mean, you need to watch that.
That's true. So you know that when you had that room, probably maybe you just have a mattress and a few things, and then as the more I pay you, the more you buy stuff. Joyce, your house, how did you deal with issues of space?
Okay, when I got the house, it started planning though. When I got the house, I felt, okay, this is how I want it to be, and it's just me that will be there, and time to time I will have guests, I will have visitors, I will have my siblings, I will have family members coming in. So I didn't just think about myself in everything. I considered a lot of other people that will be coming, and in considering, you have to make space, just like Sela said, you have to make space to accommodate certain people. Yes, it will be me for a while, but definitely I will have guests. Then when you start the planning, you don't just bring everything in the room. You might want everything, but it's not everything that can accommodate depending on the space that you have, and that should give space for air to come in, give space for cleanliness and every other thing. Because when you choke the room, there will be no air, and it can even, what's that thing that
Moms?
No, that there was one disease or something that your neck can turn one certain way. Meningitis.
Okay.
I forgot about it. You know, it can bring about that if the room is heated and there is no space and there is no air. So you have to consider a lot of all these things. Then you have to consider that, yes, even your clothes, even things in the room, you avoid them being moist, you know, so that it can, because sometimes it generates heat rashes and so many of these things. So that's how to really consider. And you see, there are people that don't really do that. They just feel, okay, now I have a space and it's time to multiply. and in the multiplication, they don't think, okay, how many can be accommodated in this particular environment or particular room, depending on my income, depending on the space I have for the moment, and that is how I will, multiply, or that's how I will conceive or give birth to children that can stay, or even visitors, even if you're not married, how many can be accommodated, because there are some people that have roommates that you will see a lot of people coming out from the room. You'll be wondering, you can even start counting. You'll be wondering, is it this one room that this many people, and ladies are used to it. You see just one room with so many people coming out from, and those instances can be found mostly in schools, where a student can get a house and every other person will stay there, and it will be congested.
Okay, so like from what you have said now, you be proper planning, you'll be able to space your house, keep the things in the places they are supposed to be. Is it the same with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Victor, put the picture of Joyce's room I gave you and Celeste's room.
Let's see. At least I'm proud.
Okay, we're talking about population in Nigeria. As of last year, I think we hit 213 million or so in Nigeria. What are the plans that you think government did differently from when we were like 170 million and all of that?
I don't think there was any plan, because if you look at the ratio of our increase yearly, is mostly 2.5%. Every year, every time that maybe there is a census, though. I don't remember the last time that there was one, because I wasn't counted. So, but there is always an increase. There's no decrease at all. It's always an increase. And this morning on, yesterday on Dailies, we were talking about a lawmaker that has 28 children and he wants to go further. You see, there should be a policy that should control childbearing in Nigeria. You should control that. It's not like it's a bad thing, but looking at the economy of Nigeria, we're always borrowing, we're always in debt, and it's not like there are policies that, okay, 2 of your children will enjoy these healthcare services, or 2 of your children will have this scholarship, or whatsoever. No, it's on you to take care of these children. So I don't think Nigeria they've not really checked into the policies. We have not checked into the policy to see how this can be controlled. We sometimes hear of stories of certain school children being fed, of how many, some certain amount of money given to these particular children, even though we don't have people that testify to it. But there is no proper checkmate, in checking the, the population, overpopulation of Nigeria. Because if you leave it to me, I think we're overpopulated. And if you look at some cities like Lagos is overpopulated. We don't know. Maybe in just statistics, you hear some of the population of other states, but we don't have the correct statistics, because I said the census, I don't remember the last time that people were counted in Nigeria. So there is an issue of overpopulation in Nigeria, and that is what is bringing about poverty, hunger. That's one thing that is bringing about poverty, hunger, malnutrition, and malnourishment, and hunger.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with Joyce, because if the government actually made provision, I mean, with all that is happening, we'll be able to control it. Even the corruption we've been talking about, even the violence. I mean, when you have your space to yourself, you know that there are certain things you won't accommodate, because you have privacy to yourself. But because the government, or we are all part of the system, have not made proper arrangement for that, just like you were saying, still from the papers we read yesterday when we looked at, they said Nigeria has about 91 million, poverty rate. So you
154 out of 181 ranking.
So it's
rate.
Quite some. If you've made provision for food, shelter, clothing, and everything, then you know that, okay, this is the population we have, and then this is what we have made available for every citizen that's living in the country. So I think the government really needs to look into what they can do. There was a time they were saying that possibly even the burial grounds are their choice talk, okay, they're already occupied, there's no space. Maybe they'll start burning when you're dead. They'll just burn your body and then throw it into the water so we can create space. So you see, these are things that the government really needs to look into it and see that we create space for everything so that it doesn't lead to poverty, hunger, malnutrition, and all that.
And you know, when you're talking population, if we have a particular record, we'll have a good database to know how many citizens are in Nigeria and to have a record of people, because now we have NIN. So that means, let's assume that the federal government have your record, maybe have a database that when they pull out your name, you know, or they put your name, everything will come out. It's very good to have things like that in a country that is developing, you know, put this, because it will help even during elections. When we have a state that maybe we have 1,000 votes or we have 1,000,000 votes, then we should know, because there are times that we have controversies of, okay, this state's population is not up to this, but we are having 50 million votes coming from this state, and the state is not up to. What is the record of that state? How is the data from the census now that was carried? How is the data? Is it that even children voted at the elections, or is it just people from 18 to a certain age that this population? That means there are more population because children too are not to vote in the elections. That means there are more people in that certain community, you see. But if we have a good database, we'll control the population, we'll know what it is that we are gearing for. If there is an increase, at least certainly we will know, because, okay, let's say in 2020, the population of Nigeria was 1 million. Then we're talking 2021. If there's an increase, because I said often it's 2.5%. If there's an increase, you should know that, okay, maybe there's an addition of 250,000. Then in 2022, if there's an increase, maybe 250, that's 1.5 million. Then talking about now, at least you even have the idea that, yes, okay, then you even have the rate of childbirth in Nigeria. In every 1 minute, a child is born, or in every, you know, it can be particular in a way that you might not be correct in such a way, but at least estimate, you know, you will know a correct number. And you know, this overpopulation causes a lot of things. You will see that even in the these people that are in charge of town planning, housing, and everything.
Urban development.
You will see that there are no, maybe access road, that's where someone is building his own house because of population or because of stretching, you know, to accommodate some other things. And sometimes in your own house, you will feel, no, this space is too small for me. Then you build or you zinc a particular place, or you touch a particular space to accommodate some of your children. And that road, it used to be maybe a road, an access road, you know, to follow to another community or something, but you are blocking it, and urban development don't even know about that, because overpopulation is stretching you, is stretching your capacity, that you have to need certain facilities, you know, to accommodate the people, and it brings about pollution. Pollution in a way that, just like you said, what is it called? Trash can be dropped in so many places, or even the houses, you see that there is no fresh air coming from the house, or is it refineries, you know, instead of
dispose their waste properly, you know.
Refineries, instead of having a certain plant to be out, to be in the outskirts of community, you see them within the community with their waste, you know, coming out.
It's not just refineries. If you take refineries to, well, it's so sad that everything about this country is not lawfully managed. Excuse me. We have industrial areas. In the mapping out of every state, there are areas that are for industries. There are business areas, there are commercial areas, there are residentials, there are all of that. These things need to be considered. Even if they are, what about the vehicle that is smoking from Lagos to Maiduguri? What about that? Okay, extremely hazardous. You have like 10 of them every day from Lagos to Maiduguri. We have trucks in this company, they sow smoke. They drive past, and unfortunately, even them, unfortunately for them, it's not healthy for them in the vehicle. but they don't care. They tell you that, government didn't do this. What about your own health? Because I don't know how God did it that in Africa we don't die of all of these things. But there are countries that you take something very little and you see the statistics of like the rate of. But in Nigeria, in Africa, we survive through all this depression and we not that we don't care, but if we die every day from smoke, it is like it's us by us that we will block roads and start checking. We should, as Nigerians, I think we should start looking out for means to do the things that are right, regardless of how government is nonchalant about it.
And it's true. And you know, it has been in news in Port Harcourt where refineries, there is this excess waste that comes out from whatever it is they are producing. There's no specific product that was brought out in the news, but I know so many people have been in social
the oil and all of that, yes.
Protesting
their water.
That they have suits, these black kind of
black oil
chemicals or something coming out. When you come out from your house, you see it on in the environment, in the air. Even your face is black, your hands, like when you touch it, and it's really affecting them. They've been calling on the government to do something about it, but it's as if it's falling on deaf ears because nothing is being done. And maybe there's a benefit that is being gained from this refinery, and that is why it is in a residential area. And protests have been made. And now you mentioned the trucks and all. Coming to this thing has been in my mind for a very long time, and I'm wondering why is nothing being done about it. Now you mentioned industrial areas and residential, and there are times that the two can be merged together where you see refineries or industries in a residential area, or you leave a residential area, the next is industrial, then the next is residential again. There is this particular company in Jos that when it's 7, that's the time their trucks start moving out from the company, plying the roads, and they cause havoc. There's traffic, and you are even scared, you that is heading to work, you're scared that, okay, you should not crash into them. And you know, most of these truck drivers, they are reckless, that they don't even care because they feel they are big cars. Even when negotiating the roundabout, they don't want to hold on for you, that is your right for your right, they still do it. Or when it's time for them to hold on, they do not do that because they feel they are big cars and they don't have brakes or whatsoever, And these cars don't really look for certain ways to break down. They just break down wherever they are. On Monday, there was huge traffic around Old Airport Junction here in Jos Plateau State. And the traffic started from that junction till around Miango Junction. And you are wondering what is happening. There were about 7 to 10 trucks on the way by that morning coming to work. And I was just wondering, is it that there is no policy to checkmate this? I know of certain policies where this type of companies, their trucks won't be allowed to go out of the facility till a certain time. For example, you can take maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. That before, when it's 5, no trucks are allowed to leave those facilities till like 9, 10, when everybody, have gone to work, motorists, workers have left their houses for their offices. Then the trucks can start moving. Then in the evening, at least from 4, no movement again for them till like later in the night, maybe 9, 10, then they can start moving. It will ease off traffic. It will ease off accidents. Just the other day, I was watching the dailies where it was reported that truck crushed about how many people, and it's so sad that these things that can be avoidable because of our population. Because when you're coming to work, it's not just you on the road. Like we said, Nigeria is overpopulated. Even in Jos Plateau State, there's a huge population. When you're coming to road to the office or you are going out, you meet traffic, hold up, and whatever on the road. Then these trucks add to it that you have to struggle with them, and it's not like there's an emergency. I know, yes, sometimes they tend to supply, even with the urgency, there is evening for it. If you are trying to catch up with the deadline, you can supply it in the evening by that time in the night, by 9 or whatsoever, because we have the market women that always wait for these products, you know, to be supplied for them. And these companies, it's not like they are even perishable goods. They can be, there should be a terminal, like, okay, let's say, aside in the Jos metropolis, there should be maybe people coming, maybe those trucks coming from neighboring states. There should be a terminal. Maybe you can take Marabanjama as a terminal for the trucks. When they get there, when it's 5, they park. So that when it's around 9 o'clock, then the roads can be open, then they can keep moving. I think there was a certain time like that this policy was enforced in Abuja.
I think, Joyce, if I'll add to what you say, most of these policies, I think it's the government that's supposed to like have a say.
There should be not just government, but we have agencies that checkmate things like that.
I accept with you, but you know, when we have this habit of being relaxed about certain things, as far as it doesn't affect me personally, whatever is being done, whoever is affected should go on. And if the government and okay, we already have issues of, apart from the fact that the smoke that comes out of this truck, like the number of accidents, especially here in Jos Plateau State, especially around that roundabout Polo, the number of deaths we keep recording just this year. It's either they brought down a building and then stuff like that, and then
they kill someone standing by the road.
And then it affects them. And then let's not just look at the truck drivers. You mentioned here the fact that when it's stressed because of overpopulation, how do we dispose our waste bins? You see all these plastic bottles, we throw them into the water, and then you're forgetting the fact that there are other living things, even though you are not in the water. There are other things that are in that water. Are we going to look at the oil? Fishes are dying. So there are lots of things, not just about these trucks. But
you know, when these fishes and seafood, you know, they are our seafood, when they die in the water, and then you go to the market to buy a particular seafood, you don't know how that fish or how that shellfish or whatever was processed, and then you buy it, and then it becomes very hazardous to your health. So there are things we really, really need to look into in this card. We shouldn't just bend it to be that, okay, it's the government, just like you said, their agency. But also as humans, what are we doing to see that, okay, things are overpopulated, we're not going to kill those that are alive. But then what can we do to maintain or manage the space that we have now to make sure that we don't abuse things, and then we don't, because we're looking at population, it's not just about air. There's even noise. When you disturb me, you see.
I started the show by saying when population increases, it certainly means an enlarged for food, water, housing, energy, healthcare, transportation, and more. And that all that consumption contributes to ecological poverty, increased conflicts, and a higher risk of large-scale disasters like pandemics the world is facing right now. You know, we are in an era where at some point bonding together was a problem. You know, if the whole world, maybe did a proper arithmetic from the beginning of how certain things can be avoided, COVID-19 wouldn't have been as bad as it was. And in Africa, where we don't really care about certain things, we just allow things to die naturally. We allow things to die naturally. Now, let us look at all of these things. Health now. You've been to the hospital, you see a ward that is supposed to take maybe 3 or 5 people, is taking 8 to 10 people, and the disease of one person ends up affecting the other. We have communicable diseases, we have airborne diseases, we have all of that. So if you have a communicable disease and I am brought close to you, what are my chances of escaping? If it's allowed unlawfully that a vehicle can drive and pour out whatever it is from the vehicle and spoil the air, that people around that place can breathe and be, infected by something, how do we deal with such things? Not as government, but as people.
Wow. It's hard.
It's difficult because you can't go to hospital. If you are helpless in the hospital, even if there are 50 people in a small room, you need help. You'd want to be there. But how can we deal with such things?
I think it's more about being exposed to information. Let me give you an example. There was a time I went to the hospital. I think I wanted to, is it take a test or injection? I don't know. The nurse finished attending to one patient with her gloves and everything, and she was coming to me to attend to me, you know, either the injection or test. And I told her, no, you can't use the same glove you used for this person. I don't even know if he has a skin disease because you touched him. You protected yourself by wearing the glove. Why do you want to use two people, you know, use it on me again? You have to change it. You know, you have to be informed in a way that you should reject some things when they come to you. Yes, there might, you know, there are some arrogant narcissists that will even tell you, it's like you don't want to be attended to or something. You know how they talk in the hospitals. But when you stand on your ground and you know what you really, you know, you are exposed to this knowledge, you can reject some things. Then that's one way where you start fighting, you know, for your right. If you are just the only person fighting for this, I know it's difficult. But when people are exposed to the knowledge and everybody starts doing it, I think we can avoid a lot of things. I think you can avoid contracting this disease from one patient to the other. You are there to treat one disease, but you are contracting another one. It's more like souvenir, because you take it home without even knowing that you've contracted it at the end of the day. Then later on, it will start manifesting. That's when you would start thinking, okay, let me go back to the hospital. Then another thing is, what's another thing now? Is it reporting some certain behaviors? You know, you can campaign. For example, if you live in a community where deaths are thrown in certain ways, we used to have, back then in Plateau State, that's just, we used to have people that come to our houses to sweep the compound, then pack it. There are trash cans in front where you can drop it, but now we do not. It's mostly like a community where you can throw trash in a particular way, and when they feel like coming, that's the time they come. And even when they come, they pollute the environment because of how they pack it and just destroy it in a way. I think communities should come together to discuss on how they can keep their environment safe. The way is to clean and safe. The way is to have this sanitation. Before, we used to have Saturday sanitation. It was serious. I think communities, we shouldn't always wait for government. When people talk, they say government, and not even doing it again. No, what you are living in the community. Government is not living with you in the community. Government, they live in urban, you know, their houses. So they are not affected by these things. It's you. So you can come as a community to agree that, okay, this is where you want to drop your trash, and you can even talk to these companies, you know, that are in charge of taking out the trash and whatsoever. Then you should know what to take to drop in the trash, and you should know what should not. Nigerians should get used to recycling. They should Google it. They should be informed about it. You can't drop plastic in the trash. Gather it. There are people. We used to have these people that come around communities to take trash. They even give you some certain amount to take those plastic. Invest in recycling. When something is finished, you don't just drop it. When plastic is finished, you don't drop it. When maybe your toothpaste is finished, you don't just drop it. There is a certain way that you can cut it so that you can stop adulteration of these certain things. Because there are people that go to the trash can, pick out these things, do a lot of nonsense to it, fill it up and make, or even drinks, you know, all these soda and the rest. You see people packing it, going to, they have a mini company in their houses, refilling it with nonsense and sending it to the public because they have the bottle not trash in a particular way, not cut in a particular way. And there are some bottles, or there are some product that they will even write on the plastic, do not trash it this way. There's a particular issue, trash, but we don't read. Nigerians don't care. Just see by
open, drink, throw.
And you know,
and they throw it on the way. You even see, there are times that this is very annoying. You can be driving and someone in front of you, they can even throw banana peels, throw soda can, and you'll be wondering, is this person a monkey? Because it's only monkeys that behave like that. Why can't you wait when you get to a certain place?
You can trash it in the car. When you get to a particular place, the time is fast spent. I would like us to end the show here. What can we do? What is your advice on what we should do to stop pollution.
I think Joyce have really highlighted a lot. It starts with you.
And that's why
just
she
know
won't
the
say
information.
anything at the end of the show.
Know the information that is needed. That it's not just about the government. It's about you. It's about me. And making the environment hygienic for everybody else, like from your home, because we're having malaria here and there. How can we fight malaria? It still starts with you. Still starts with me. Let's keep our environment clean. And please, for those that give birth without actually budgeting for their kids and giving them issues, please, let's make sure that we know what is expected and provide the adequate space and nutrition that these kids need. That's what I have to give them.
Thank you very much for watching this live on Equa Television Africa. We looked at population and pollution today, and we have been looking at government issues on today's live throughout the week. Yesterday we looked at malnourishment. Only God knows what we'll be looking at tomorrow. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching today's live on Equa Television. God bless you and stay out of trouble. On behalf of everyone here at Equa Television, thank you very much for watching. See you and have a great day.